This show's just waiting here for you. Welcome to the PodCasket, where the light never dims. We're singing through the madness.
Record right from the beginning because I don't want to miss
from the beginning. What could go wrong?
Nothing.
Yeah,
Everything.
So yeah, it won't let me put my. I got to tell you something. I had a badass background picked out, and I was gonna screw with you. I wish I could share my screen just to show you all the cool stuff I had.
Oh,
I mean,
man.
I had me in the Tukios like your office background.
Oh, really?
Here. Oh yeah. Like
Oh, man.
I'm in the Tukios World headquarters in Ogden, and I was gonna bust your chops about where you are today, while I'm there. And so, but here we are. Okay,
Oh,
so
no.
I'm gonna take this off.
No, man, you got to keep that going.
My whole approach. Are you kidding? No, this hat had it for a long time.
So we got a gun in the background here. I'm seeing.
Yeah, we got.
And, is that ammunition on the counter?
No, they don't give me any ammunition. Actually, That was part of the deal. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing good. It's just crazy. Just meeting, lots of meetings all the time.
How I know. It's so funny you say that. I was doing all this crazy stuff for my dad. He trying to get his affairs in order after Mom passed away, and he's trying to get all the ranch stuff. And so I'm trying to go through all the partials with him this morning, and I'm like, can we do this in my office? I'll put it up and I'll start building a spreadsheet for you. He goes, I'm more comfortable here. And he was like, all right, add these numbers up. And I'm like, on your paper. I'm like, well, that's why I wanted to do it on a spreadsheet. And so it's like, okay. No. All good. And then, and then my CP, I'm doing all these things. And I'm like, by the way, we've got people calling us to help them today. I've got a friend of mine who lost her father. And so I'm like, by the way, people are calling us to help them on top of, ranch family junk and people and blah, 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 blah. But how often do you do this podcast? You've been doing it a while, right?
Yeah, I started last summer. I think this will probably be kind of came out swinging, did like 3 or 4 episodes pretty quick. And then I got busy and then I was like, oh my gosh, I haven't done one in a few months. So I think this would be like episode 10, but
I'm glad that I know that I ranked 10th on your list of people. That's actually a compliment.
You're top 10, man.
But it also tells me that you're running out of options, which is so beautiful. It's like he's at the bottom, he's done. Number 10's our last one.
Oh, not even close, man. No way.
How's Mama feeling? How far? What's the status?
We got 12 days left till she's induced.
So you are on a non-travel. You're how far away? You got the hospital bags are packed.
I don't know if she's got a go bag or not. Like,
you gonna do a home birth?
No. Okay, no, definitely not.
No, well, you got to take her somewhere.
I know we're gonna go to the hospital, but she hasn't packed a go bag in the past, so I don't know if she's doing that now. It's just been like the first time, it was like she went into labor, and she's on the ground, and she's like, I think these are contractions. I'm like, I definitely think they are. I've never been pregnant or had a baby, but looking at you, this is what I see in the movies.
That's a whole other podcast, Curtis. It is 2025, so you can be who you want to be.
That was a 2024 podcast. I think we're moving on. No, but anyway, so yeah, we got 12 days left. We'll go to the hospital, and we'll take the baby from the hospital pretty much straight to the county building to apply for a passport because we're trying to go to Mexico in like 5 weeks.
Oh, so, really? Awesome.
Yeah.
Isn't it funny after your first one? It's like everybody's so like, I don't know what we can do. I remember leaving the hospital with our first waiting for someone to stop us to like, no, you really shouldn't take another human being home with you. At the second one, you're like, okay, we got to go. We got things to do. Pack them up. Let's go. It's
totally
way more comfortable.
Yeah, I was afraid to leave the hospital with the first one. Right?
I wanted them to keep us for like 4 days. Like I'm not ready to be a parent. And I'm a previous, I used to be a investigator for Child Protective Services. I'm like, you still shouldn't let me leave with a small child.
Yeah.
So that was fun. Oh golly, it's exciting. Second one's great because you kind of got a foundation, a little bit of the do's and the don'ts, and it's like we really don't have to child-proof the house like we did last time. It's okay.
Yeah, when we went from a girl to a boy, and a boy is like I don't know, they just seem he was just different. I mean, he's just like, they're totally built different. And then another boy, so our two boys just beat the crap out of each other. But yeah, you're not as worried about them. Like I was worried about our daughter all the time. Like, oh, if she trips and falls, I'm worried about it. Or the boys, it's like one will,
they make small helmets, just, bubble wrap.
Yeah. Oh man, they need it.
They do need it.
They're nuts.
So you're on standby. You've got your Cybertruck charged up for like emergency transport. You're good to go. So is she having any contractions yet? At all?
A little bit. Yeah, a little bit here and there.
How fast the last one? How fast did it go? Like when it was full on? Like was it quick? Contractions to
when she had
bingo?
For the first one. I mean, she went into labor. The next two, she was induced.
Yeah. Okay. What does she want to do this time?
She wants to be induced because she doesn't like labor without medication.
Okay, that's okay. Got it.
Yeah, so she's hoping to get there.
Yeah, these women are all stronger than all of us. I mean, they should take over the world. Actually, we'd be in a better place.
Yeah.
You should record that. Everybody will appreciate that more than anything.
Yeah, we'll cut that clip out of there for sure. Share it on its own. No, man.
How is the world headquarters? You guys, I was privileged to be able to, see and walk around when you hosted a couple of us from the Funeral Service Foundation in your office. Thank you for taking that time. You guys are just continuing to expand.
Yeah, we just keep growing. Thanks for visiting when you did. There's since you were here, I mean, it hasn't been very long, right? It's been like a month and a half or less. And
yeah, maybe.
Since then, it's changed again. I mean, we've added more people, but we also like, if you remember that the main floor where you walked in, kind of where we took the photo. Yeah, we cut a big hole in the ceiling right there and put in these really cool stairs. We would have. We just like we've had probably more workers' comp issues than an office should have. So the fire pole, we had to rule that one out.
Yeah, insurance purposes. That's awesome, actually. Yeah, I will say that I took the luggage, the 2 kiosk luggage bag. Jennifer and I went on a road trip down to Big Bend, and we drove down there, and it was tossed in the back, and we went down dusty roads and stuff, and it was a champ, man. You need a swag shop for some of the stuff you guys had. You could sell that stuff. That is hardcore.
You're not the first to mention that. We probably should because we have a whole room full of those suitcases. Landon ordered way too many.
I have a 2 kiosk cup that you gave me. I actually did it on our first Graveyard Shift podcast. Totally. I just pulled it up and was sipping out of it nonchalantly. And this podcast that we're working on is, I don't know how far it's going to go, but I keep telling my friends like you, hey, send me something. And I'll put it on the wall and just start talking. I want to be like the obnoxious guy that's completely selling his soul to everybody. I'm on the take of badging other people's stuff.
Here's what you need to do. In your next one, just take over the conversation and have an ad written for one of the companies. You know what I mean?
Send me one.
Reading it
Send
off.
me one. I'll do it. I'll totally do that. Are you kidding me? They expect it from me. They're like, I'm not in charge of any of the editing, but thank God. I told them when on our deal, it was the first time. Oh God, let me turn that down. When we first started doing all that stuff, I was like, you're going to do an hour's worth of content. You're going to be able to show 30 seconds because my Tourette's is going to kick in and it's going to be over with.
Yeah. Well, I saw your trailer yesterday. That's, I think, what's aired so far. And it sounds like the first episode is airing tomorrow. But I was thinking about it when I saw the trailer. I'm like, oh man, you got Matt Bailey, Todd Carlson, Gary. Who I'm guessing Todd is kind of moderating, then Gary Freitag. And I played golf in a group with Gary last year. And I was thinking, when you release a podcast, you have to give it a rating, like a movie.
Right.
I'm
not sure if you would.
Yeah,
definitely PG-13, maybe more. And I love Todd. Todd is Midwestern, even keeled, and it's he's really going to try to keep the tires on the road here, and we'll see. We need to grade him on how he herds cats, basically.
Yeah.
But we
I'm
had
excited.
we're gonna start having some folks on. I'd love to get you on.
Oh yeah, I'd love to.
If they allow me to do this.
What's your cadence? Like, how often are you guys planning on recording?
I don't know. They're working on that. We've recorded several of them, because they want to do that and then let them trickle out. And so we've had it had obviously hadn't aired yet, but do you know Tom from French?
Yeah, Tom Antrim. Yeah.
Yeah. We already had Tom on. I love that guy.
Oh, awesome.
So, and our plan is to have some folks on within funeral service to talk and how you deal with this and this, and definitely mixing reality of what we do with some humor. It's definitely made for our profession, so it's not like this is gonna be out in, well, I guess it is kind of out in the real world. Now I got to really watch what I say, don't I? Dang it. We're not gonna get that back. So where in Mexico are y'all going?
Punta Mita. It's
is that legal?
North. Yeah, it's just north of Puerto Vallarta.
Okay,
there's like a lot of new resorts are getting built there. Yeah. So we went there. I think it was last year. We're going back.
Okay.
What about you?
So
you
Curtis,
got some travel
thanks for joining me.
schedule?
Tell me a little bit about yourself.
Where
are you from?
Turn the table.
What's this thing called Tukios? How'd you stumble across it? You ever watch Between Two Ferns?
Yes. So good.
That's what I think this could easily be, by the way.
Yeah. Oh, man. That show's so good. I was trying to think, like, the first time you and I met. I remember the first time, let me tell you, probably haven't heard this before. The first time we were ever on a phone call together, Tukios was brand new.
Yep.
And I got looped into a call. I think the guy's name was Brian that was with like Mims.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Way back. This is way back.
That was
this
one
is like
of our
2011.
First software that we took on, because while we're 165 years old, my dad sold his 4 funeral homes to SCI in the mid 80s, and so we started from scratch in 2000, and then coming on board, it was like, don't we need some kind of software? Are we really going to pencil and paper this whole thing, right? And so MIMS was our first mortuary management software, and they were American based, and then I think they went to Canada. Was it Twin Tiers or?
So that's right. Twin Tiers had MIMS, and then Twin Tiers was acquired and became Funeral Tech.
Yeah, that was way later though, right? That was
well, when Brian left, I think that was what had happened.
I was proud because I thought that I was your first Texas client, but evidently I was your second.
Oh, sorry.
But I'm going to say for this podcast that I was your first Texas client.
Yeah.
Back 2002, 2003. I don't know. When did you start?
No, it wouldn't have been that old. No, I mean, Tukios is 2010. Started in 2010. So 2011. Okay. That's what I'm saying. I came to the TFDA. Brian set up this meeting. He's like, I'm going to have you meet with this big group, family owned. And so we get on this call, and I remember where I was. Like, I was like transitioning from should I finish the sentence?
Oh yeah. Yes, please.
Yeah.
Don't worry. I won't
leave everybody hanging.
Your words.
Yeah. We had just like moved out of our townhouse we bought when we got married, and we were going to buy a house anyway. We're living in my in-laws' basement, and I was in their basement, like on my bed, pretending to be like some big company, and on a call with you. And then, we got a little bit more traction. I think a few months later, came down and visited you at the funeral home with Kevin Young, bearded Kevin Young now works for us, and Steve Doty from with Aurora. So that was great.
Mom Meatloaf from the basement. Like, who else lived in a basement? The Unabomber, I think, was in the basement too. So you've come a long ways.
Yeah. Kaczynski's my middle name, so
oh shit. Yeah, man. So we've been able to work together for a long time. I've professionally awesome, but just personally, I appreciate it more than you know. So we've been able to connect offline that had nothing to do with the funeral service and all the, since most funeral homeowners and funeral directors are so modest without any huge ego. And so, but we've been able to connect on a real level. And so I've appreciated that more than anything.
No, thank you, man. It's been a great friendship. So appreciate all of it. Friendship.
So tell us a little bit about your hobbies.
These are the questions for you. All right.
We gotta cut into this. I misread okay.
Yeah. You're going to be interviewing me.
No, that would be pretty awesome. Actually, there will be a time for that.
We'll do that one later. Once I get through my list, your top 10, and I've still got I came up with 71 names one night. When I came up with the idea for PodCasket, I came up with 71 names in about 9 minutes. I was just blasting them off on my phone. And so I'll try to get through these ones first. But, so the purpose of PodCasket is to, learn the stories of the legends who have shaped deathcare to what it is today. So your top 10 legend, put that on in your new bio. And hopefully, too, people who listen to this will start listening to the Graveyard Shift podcast as well that you're on, which will be great.
Oh, so that would be cool.
But we got to start from the top because what this is about is learning.
Let me get serious.
Your story. No, don't do that.
Don't worry, I was
don't get
lying
serious,
to you.
But keep going. Yeah. So start from the beginning, man. We want to know where you're from, your family, siblings,
sure.
Kind of. Maybe just like the elementary school years. Let's start there. To there.
That is great because I took first grade twice, and
nice.
My first grade teacher loved me so much that she had me stay another year. But I grew up right here in Fort Worth, Texas, Tarrant County, and great home, mom and dad. I've got 3 siblings. Got an oldest brother, an older brother, me, and then our sister. So there's 4 of us. My older brother, just above me, works here at the funeral home. But I grew up in the funeral home. Dad, at 16, went full time with the funeral home. His dad and brother passed away 12 days apart when Dad was 16, and so he was working at the funeral home like you do when you grow up. But he kind of went full time. So I literally think we were at the funeral home every day. When Dad was on call on rotation, we would take turns staying at the funeral home with him. And odd jobs. I mean, pre-computer, pre-cell phone. I mean, it was pretty boring because you had to find things to do. So hide and seek, which was great when you had a monster funeral home. Our main place in Fort Worth at the time, I think it was 30,000 square feet or something insane. So loved the people that were there in funeral service in that time in the 70s. We would prank call everybody that we could and call in and have music playing, and then from that to you guys get out of here, we'd be kicked out and go down the street to the florist where all the kids, it was a family-owned florist, and we'd all hang out there, and it was a great time to grow up. You're washing cars and moving flowers, and the only job I was ever fired from was the funeral home. My dad had a guy, his name was Willie. He was like a part of the family. He was in charge of all the yards, and it was my brother and I. And my dad refused to pay me minimum wage. He said I wasn't old enough to work, so he paid me $2 an hour. And my brother screwed up the yard, like something with a shrubbery or whatever he called it. And we got called into my dad's office, and my dad said, "Willie, what do you think? What's going on?" He goes, "Mr. Jim, these boys messed up my shrubbery." And my dad goes, "Well, what do you think we should do, Willie?" He goes, "Best you fire him." He goes, "You boys are fired." So we were fired by the yard guy. So it was like, and I was like, my brother screwed it up. I was like, I did nothing wrong. But anyways, parlayed that into shampooing carpets, and Dad sold the funeral homes to SCI. Went to work in Houston, literally was down there while we stayed here, and worked for Mr. Waltrip, who he had the utmost respect for and admiration for. Worked directly for him, and that morphed into me going through school. I knew I wanted to help people. College, I got into social work, and my first paying gig out of college was I was an investigator with Child Protective Services in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Wow. Jennifer was a lifelong student at that point. She's a little younger than me, but she was working on her PhD, and so she was accepted into UNM, and that was crazy time. And about 3 years into that, Dad was getting into the pre-need field. He had since left SCI. They had sold him a company, and he moved it back up to Fort Worth. And I started that conversation if I didn't want to continue to be an investigator with Child Protective Services. It was pretty horrible, actually, after a while, the things you see. So went to work with Dad in the pre-need field. So my first real paying job in funeral service was pre-need. And then that morphed into, a conversation of, have you ever thought about getting back into serving families? And he didn't hesitate. He was like, you'll always be able to put food on your table, but it's hard work, and it's time, a lot of time. And I knew that because Dad was gone a lot. So we started down that road and started with one turned into two turned into four. And over the years, we've ebbed and tied to 22 locations. Right now, we're at 12 locations. We've, in the last 12 months or so, sold 4 that were out in West Texas area to reconsolidate. And our plan is to grow here in the DFW metropolitan area. DFW is, one of the fastest growing metropolitan areas in the country. I think it's ranked 4 right now. So
wow,
I've got a lot of friends that do really well of having funeral homes everywhere, and they're very successful at it. I'm not that guy. I don't feel like I'm that guy. I'm definitely not a micromanager, but I do like to be a part of it. I'm not an absentee owner. So I like building things. I always tell people I'm a Lego kid. I love building Legos as a kid, and this is part of it. And it's not just growing and being big. It's the humanistic side. I love the 125 full-time and part-time coworkers that we have. And it's like, that's 125 families that I'm responsible for. We're responsible for. So I take that to heart. And, and all of these people and all of the locations come down to, these folks that are calling us at 3:00 in the morning with a profound loss. The most important person in their life has passed away, and it's they're bestowing on us a sacred trust. And man, that is powerful to me. So I love that. And if we can always be striving for perfection, I don't believe that we're ever perfect. I think we can always be striving for perfection. And when we stumble, can we learn from that mistake? And I always get a giggle out of folks that are experts in our field. And you don't want me, I'm not your expert, but if you want to learn how my successes all my real successes have been built on failure. And so if you want to talk to somebody about how to learn from failure and turn it into a positive, I might be your guy. Make sure you're taking notes of what not to do for most of that conversation. So I don't know. I never feel like I get up and go to work, which is good and bad, for sure. But I'm enjoying still what we do. And I have proud to have had the opportunity to be a family-owned funeral home minus our sabbatical. So the 165 years of legacy, and I feel like I'm just a temporary driver, of a big ship. I don't want to be the Exxon Valdez guy, so I'm pretty cognizant of that. I want to crash this bad boy. And so surrounding myself with like-minded people and having fun. All we can have fun. What we do is serious, and we have to take it serious. But if we don't have a healthy way to decompress that, funeral service is full of great examples of unhealthy ways to decompress. So, talking about it, being real about, it's okay. It's okay what you saw. It's not normal what you just saw, and let's unpack that. We can talk about that. And it's just to do it for a long time. It takes a unique person, to do that. And I look around at our team, and we've got a lot of unique people. And I love the quirkiness of it. The passion, the authenticity of it. I'm rambling, but I love my people. And so, yeah, I don't know if I answered your question at all, Curtis.
No, man, you did.
I'm from Fort Worth.
You've created a bunch. You've created a bunch more questions for me.
And I went to first grade twice.
Yeah. And I got to ask about that too. Let's jump into that really fast because I've got a first grader who hates going to school. Every day it's a negotiation to get her there.
Yeah.
And people keep saying it's going to be fine. She's going to be fine.
She will be fine.
Pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, absolutely. They didn't know it was undiagnosed learning difference and dyslexia. They didn't know what that. It was like, what's that? And my son, I bequeathed that to him as a gift. But we were able to, provide resources and figured out what that was. And it was hard to see him struggle in the early date when he was really young, and got him the help. He's smart. I mean, he's finishing his master's degree from Colorado School of Mines and Mechanical Engineering. So he turned out pretty well despite, my gifts upon him. But it was one of those things that is a learning difference that you just figured out, and owned it. At first, it was, I would act out with my peers and be the funny guy, right, to offset that. But then I learned that, well, I'm not the village idiot after all. I'm like, I've got some smarts to me. And then I think probably for what we do, it's not a whole bunch of IQ as it is EQ, and that goes a long way. So
for sure. No, yeah. And the common sense too, that comes along with that. It's super important.
Well, common sense is different, Curtis, and I don't have a lot of that. So, I do make poor life choices with my eyes wide open. So,
yeah. So I got to drill into a few things along the way. What you just said. One is 165 years. Just to clarify, 165 years ago, was that a Lucas started?
Yeah.
That?
So that's a great question. So we started in Grapevine, Texas. My family arrived here literally probably on horseback in the 1840s, and off the prairie of Grapevine. Their house now sits under a runway of the Dallas-Fort Worth International Airport. So our farm was on that property. There's 3 cemeteries on that property, and we have family buried in all of them. So we started serving families out on the prairie. We had a general store. We sold farm goods, dry goods, and coffins. The family would host the traveling preacher, the circuit preacher at the house, founders of the Methodist Church out there.
Wow.
A cool history, a cool heritage. And that morphed into a large family, so much so that, it couldn't accommodate. And so the family split in a healthy way. It morphed into a funeral service, and one of the brothers went to Hearst. My great grandfather went to Fort Worth, many years later. And then the reconsolidation of my dad when he came along, buying out his uncles or their widows. So yeah, that was 3 funeral homes.
Were they all called Lucas?
All called Lucas. Yeah.
All Lucas, but different
JT
owners
Lucas
at the time.
or Zippy Lucas. I mean, there were some weird names back in the day.
I like Zippy.
Zippy. Oh yeah. Yeah. He moved to Hearst, where we are now. In fact, when we just did our big remodel a couple of years ago, we dedicated the chapel in his name.
Oh, did you really? And that's at the Hearst location?
Yeah. So it's a Zippy Lucas chapel.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
He
was good. I got to know him. He was a neat guy. But back in the day, I remember when we got out of the ambulance service. He sold his last ambulance. I think I was in 6th grade when he sold it. When funeral homes got out of the ambulance service, and it really became more of what we know as first responders today. Most fire stations have all their own deal. Not a lot of private ambulance services anymore. But yeah,
that's interesting.
In a very family history wise. So
that ambulance service in a funeral home, I've never heard that before, but
really
makes me think all kinds of questions, like, is it a conflict of interest?
That's so that was the funeral home was the ambulance service. Yeah, you'd think there was any conflict of interest. My dad would tell stories about, they would soup these ambulances up. I mean, they didn't have the paddles and all this, they had a fast car. and an oxygen bottle, and
Just get him to the
they just
hospital as fast as
hauled
possible.
ass. Yeah, yeah,
That's awesome.
yeah, yeah.
That's so awesome. Okay, so let's talk about this sabbatical really quick. Because one thing you
Sure.
didn't mention that I think is really interesting is, so there's this time period where your dad sold the homes, and then
Mhm.
he bought them back from SCI, correct?
We had an opportunity to buy back one of them, so it was an interesting opportunity. In order to, we bought back the real estate and managed the business, and then we did that twice, and then it wasn't, SCI is a publicly traded company, so it's going to be whatever is in the best interest of them. And those locations, call volume had gone down quite a bit, and that that morphed into, well, we were kind of on our own. There was no more ability to grow outside of that at that time. And then we started having family-owned funeral homes. We had a family-owned funeral home contact us that wanted to sell, but did not want to sell to a corporation. Then we also started a funeral home from scratch, basically, if you will. So then we were at four real quick. And then SCI had some properties bundled up out west of here, and there was a group of three, and we bought those. And then started a couple more from scratch, bought an
Hmm.
old church, um,
Where's that
went
one?
up down in Burleson. Yeah, and so it was an old Episcopal church. When the Episcopal church went through some of the stuff that the Methodist church has been going through here lately, they had a church and a school. Of course, everybody went sideways, and so we had an opportunity to buy the church, and it was neat because the church is an old chapel and beautiful, open, and then the school was on the same property but in a separate building. So we were able to put the funeral home in the old school, and and then we have the chapel, which is a standalone. It's really
That's
beautiful,
so
actually.
cool.
Yeah, and so we've actually acquired a couple of old churches and remodeled and remorphed, and right now we're in the middle of a new build. We bought some property here in Tarrant County, and we are going to be building a new location there. I'm looking for some property uh, in here and in Dallas County right now, so it's ongoing. We're
Oh,
excited.
awesome. Do you still have the
Florida.
location like Fort Worth down by the stockyards?
Yeah, yeah, we do. That was an old family-owned funeral home that SCI had acquired, and then we had an opportunity to buy a package of funeral homes from them, acquire, and we did. And that was one of them. And that part of town's gone through a lot of changes. So yeah, but we're right there on Main Street and Northside Drive.
Yeah, that's that's awesome. Okay, so we also need to back up now because you mentioned um, Jennifer being there in Albuquerque, but you didn't
Yeah.
tell us where you met or anything up to
Oh
that.
yeah, I didn't. I didn't. Oh, what I wanted to say was really funny. Um, we met at YMCA. I was a camp counselor. She was a camp counselor. We actually went to high school together. Never knew each other in high school. She's a couple of years younger than me. And yeah, I was the teen camp coordinator during the summer. And so basically, outdoor living skills. We did a lot of camping, taking the city kids out. And uh, I walked into, she was with a pre-K, I think, and I walked in to fill up an ice bucket or something. Don't get me picking my nose. I went in to get an ice bucket, and she was there. It was like one of those like the glowing through the sun was coming in, and I was like, oh wow, who's that chick? And so she wanted zero to do with me. And so that summer went on, and whatever, we talked and were friendly. And then the following summer, um, we spent some time together and got to know each other a little bit. She had a boyfriend, and it was a process. It was a process. And then basically we'd gone out, and then she still had a boyfriend. And I just said, look, happy, it was a birthday. I dropped a card off at her house, and I said, happy birthday. I wish you the best, but this isn't really working out. You got your own thing going on. I'm not a disruptor like that. So I wish you luck, in life. And it was almost like, wah.
Yeah.
And she, that was it. And her side of the story is, she had to have me at that point. So, but yeah, so that was 90. We got married in 97, but we dated for several years before that. So I think it's going to be 28 years
Wow.
of marriage. Yeah.
And
My
then
advice, don't do it.
so, married and then went to Albuquerque, or where
Yeah, we got
how did all
married
that go
literally like I was so nervous about getting a job out of college. It was like, I have we were trying to see where she was going to go to school because she was going to either go to Albuquerque, New Mexico, Florida, or Minnesota, and those were her three schools to choose from. And I'm like, well, if we go to Florida, I'm probably going to get into geriatric social work, and if we go to Minnesota, that's like it's so damn cold up there, it doesn't even snow, so that doesn't sound appealing to me. And so we went to New Mexico. Growing up as a kid, we'd go to New Mexico from here. So that's how we landed there, and that's how she made that choice. And so getting that first job, I had a job interview. At the time, I had no idea that they were literally looking for people with a pulse to come be a social worker with Child Protective Services. I flew out there, had to borrow money from my dad to fly out for a job interview the day of my rehearsal dinner for our wedding. So I flew
Oh
out and back
wow.
to Albuquerque, and I literally came from the airport to the rehearsal dinner. And I was like, I think I might have got the job. And it was like, oh, this is great. I said, and they're going to pay me $22,500 a year. And I was like, we got this. And so, yeah, a student with student debt, my wife and me, got married, moved to Albuquerque, just like that. And I was banking the 22,500 a year, and we were poor, man. I didn't realize until I was like, oh, yeah, let's go to Subway and we'll split a sandwich. I mean, that was our date night was, but it worked out. I always tell people like the best thing that we probably could have done is to get married and leave everything, because then you're stuck with each other, literally, like, to work it out. And
Mm-hmm.
it was good. It was a great moment of our life. Met some friends that we still have to this day, that we consider best friends, that we still communicate with and see and travel with. So it was good.
Oh, that's awesome. And
Yeah.
when did you start having kids? Tell us about your kids.
So our first was 2001. Nathan was born in 2001. And we were obviously back in Fort Worth. And he's awesome. He's 23 now and finishing his master's degree. And then our daughter, 2003, Maddie O. She's 21. She's awesome. She's a lot like me. Super inappropriate, which is perfect. Fun. She is a junior at Cal Poly in San Luis Obispo,
Oh,
California.
cool. Big
Yep.
Sky School.
Yep. Environmental science stuff. And so I kept thinking, like, how did we not screw them up? They're pretty good human beings, man. It's like I was all worried about all the dumb crap I'd done all my life. It's like this is baked in their DNA. They're just set up for failure. And they've turned out to be really good kids. I mean, I've got a call scheduled with my son just to catch up this afternoon, and Maddie will FaceTime us nonstop and just tell us about the most random crap that's going on in her day. Literally, like, well, I woke up this morning and it was cold, so I got the blanket. I got another blanket, and it's just like this. And then Jennifer will just come and hand me her phone and like talk to your daughter, and she'll walk away. So it's fun. It's unique. I feel it's you get to that point that as a parent you're juggling, and it's like going to a bowling alley with the kid bumpers on it. That's how you're raising your kids. You want to protect them, but you know that you can't completely protect them. So you're like, when we take the bumpers off, how are they going to fare? And so far so good. They need to get a job, but I'm not really worried about that. They're both pretty motivated. We don't have to say like, hey, you should do better at that. They're harder on themselves than we could ever be, and it's like, hey, you're doing the best you can. Have you thought about this or this, or what are you doing to make that get back on track? But they both make better grades than I ever made, and I haven't been able to help them with their homework since they were in sixth grade. So it's like they're kind of on their own, and thank God for their mother. Yeah.
Oh, it's crazy how fast you forget everything you learn in school. It seems like maybe it's not 100%. Applicable.
I know. It's what I say. It's like what you're learning now is not going to be overly applicable to what you're doing. And my son was worried about, the first job. And well, here's the deal. You're going to show up, and the one thing that you have in common on your first day of work is when you get there and you look around, everybody there has been right where you are. There's going to be folks that are about to retire. There's going to be folks that are mid through their career. And there's going to be people that started a week before you. So just know you'll find your crowd and your group. And maybe not in engineering. They're all like super nerdy, right? So I don't know. Good luck.
And your kids' interest in the funeral business? No.
We've got not at this time. I say that I'm open to that possibility if they decide that, but it was definitely something that I came around to in a second career situation when the opportunity presents itself. Growing up in the funeral home as a kid, it was never on my radar. I always knew I wanted to help people, but and that was a good thing because I feel like that I found funeral service and funeral service didn't just find me. I think you look in family-owned businesses and you see where it was almost expected that this is what you're going to do, and I think I've seen a lot of resentment in that, and owners now that are my age or a little older that felt like that this is what they had to do. They didn't have a choice, and I don't have any of that. I feel very grateful for an opportunity that everything worked out the way it did. I mean, things happen for a reason. I know it was really difficult for my father to sell our businesses, but looking back now, if he wouldn't have done that, we wouldn't be here today. This wouldn't have happened. So grateful.
Yeah, no, that's super interesting. And on the when you were like kind of teamed up with them on the pre-need stuff, that was prior to buying the businesses back.
Yeah, it was Purple Cross, actually, a small little pre-need company, underwritten mostly by National Guardian Life. Love my NGL people. That's who we started with, and we've changed a lot over the years. And then as we morphed out of the pre-need thing and got into funeral service, I had the opportunity to meet a lot of folks as an adult in funeral service. And so my job was I would go to all the conventions, but I didn't get the good conventions. And I don't want anybody listening to this when I say what the bad conventions were, but the really tiny ones.
Yeah.
And I was like, you're setting up the booth. I mean, that was me. I would do what you guys do, set the booth up and talk about, trying to convince these funeral directors to want to use you for their pre-need. And it was, again, a great experience. It's something, and one more tool in my toolbox that I never thought that I would use today, but I do use today. And then there are a couple of people still at NGL from when I started doing that in 1999. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. So hobbies.
I love to scuba dive. Just got off the scuba trip. Jennifer and I had an opportunity to get out of town. We went out of town with, John Horan.
Yep.
John and I and his wife, and then Corey Gaffney. Do you know Hamilton Jones, Miller Jones out in California?
Yeah.
Hammer and his wife Kimmy, and another couple, and it was awesome. So I've got a group of guys at Deathcare Management Council in Key West I'm a part of, which is my closest knit dive buddies that we dive a lot with. Ernie Hefner, Mark Krause, all those guys. So I've been diving since 1990. So
wow.
Yeah.
Like, why? Like, what was what got you into it? What was your first
My
dive?
brother came to me and like, hey, I'm thinking about taking a scuba diving course, and like, yeah, that sounds really cool. I've always wanted to do that. So we just did it together, and I don't think he dove again after we got
Really?
certified. And I went on, I did it in college, and then there was a moment in time, like especially after you get married, and I was banking at Child Protective Services, that there was no money for any of that. And then as years have gone on, I've had the opportunity to do it, and now I just love doing it. I love being outside. Jennifer and I have raised our family. We're national park family goers.
Cool.
We've You would think that we have forced our kids into the Baton Death March because we do hiking and uh, camping and tent camping, and I love backpacking. Went through the Boy Scout program with my son. Went through Indian Princess with my daughter, and so
Cool.
we're an outdoor family. I like that. We have a ranch west of Fort Worth, cattle ranch. I actually lived out there and worked on it. In my first college go was out in a little community, not community, a junior college. So I got to live on the ranch, and I love going out there. That's my goal, is to, I don't want to retire. I don't want to sell, but I would like to go part time, is what I tease my coworkers with. And for me, part time is 4 days a week. If I can, when I turn 60, I really want to have set this up to where I'm working 4 days a week, and then I'm able to be out at the ranch and, not crap over with a bulldozer and build fence and run around and kick the dirt and look at the stars and stuff like
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
When you're out there, you doing a lot of work like that, building fences and stuff, or?
Yeah, I do. I mean, yeah, but it's usually you get out there, you just want to relax because you only
Yeah.
have a day or two, right?
Do you own the cattle or do you lease it?
Yeah, we have cattle. Yep, cattle, and then we do lease some of the property to some hunters that hunt out there.
Mm-hmm.
They're all friends or family members that we lease to. It's not like strangers. It's about 14 guys that come out there, and they do more of sitting around a campfire drinking beer than they do hunting. I think all the animals are safe out there. It should be like listed as a preserve. I'm not sure those guys have ever shot anything, but it's a good time, and it's not too terribly far for me to get out there. It's an hour and 45 minutes, 2 hour drive. So we have a rattlesnake roundup once a year. That's this weekend coming up. So I'm going to drive out and watch a bunch of idiots stick their arms in a hole to pull out rattlesnakes from the rocks. So.
Really? That's what they do?
Yeah. Yeah, you would think
My
they're part of some
gosh.
weird cult, but
How does that work?
Miller Lite will allow anybody to do anything.
Jeez. I'm super curious. I mean, were they are they wearing gloves? How does that work?
No, I am never close enough to see exactly what they're doing, but they have those big ass long sticks with hooks on it, and they find where it looks like there's snakes in the rocks, and they have a hose, it's a water hose basically that they've cut, and they will pump like gas in there, and those
Oh,
fumes will draw them out, and then they'll grab them with these big long sticks and put them in these buckets, and then hey, if they get some, I'll send you some video of it or some pictures of
yeah.
it. They'll bring them up there and dump them in the middle of the driveway, and everybody stands around, and I'm like, y'all aren't real. Would you like to purchase some pre-need from Lucas Funeral Homes?
Yeah, seriously, man.
So yeah, that's this weekend. So and my nephew's gonna be out there. He's in the Army, and I haven't seen him in a while, and that's the really reason I'm going.
Yeah,
But
that's awesome.
I love getting out to the ranch. That's kind of my happy place.
Yeah. So
For sure.
you mentioned, were you an Eagle Scout? Said you did
Nope,
scouts?
Nathan's an Eagle Scout. I did do the scouting program, but it wasn't. It's all about the troop. It's all about having some adult leadership that is
Yeah.
vested into making sure it's a boy-led troop. And so Nathan did that program, and I was very involved in the program. I was the charter org rep, so one of the troops' senior adult guys, and so I love that. We got to do a lot of crazy things. I miss it because I was in really good shape when he was going through that with all the stuff that we had to do. So,
Yeah.
and then the Indian Princess thing with Maddie, it's a daddy-daughter deal. So it's an opportunity for all the dads to take their daughters out into the woods without the moms there and telling you what you have to do. And so that was fun too. So of course you can do that. You come home and they've got paint all over them. And it's like, I don't know what happened.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. You know, we had a rule at home. You had to be an Eagle Scout to get your driver's license. So,
Oh, nice. That's a
yeah.
great rule. So you're an Eagle Scout.
Yeah, got it the day before I turned 16. I mean, it was
Ooh,
like
right under.
to the
Yep.
wire, but
That was always the joke is, these kids need to button up their Eagle Scout before they get a truck or a car, and then because their one track mind is girls, So
yeah, you're not
are your
gonna think
boys?
about Scouts anymore. My
How old are
boys are
you?
too small, 2 and 3.
Okay. Are you gonna? Do
So
you want to do that with them?
I'm not sure what we'll do with them yet. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, like it's amazing. Like, I mean, you talking about your ranch, just like you get kids outside, and that's all you got to do. Like that's the only thing you got to do. Like I took them
Yeah.
camping last summer, and I thought I'd give my wife like a night off. So I
Yeah.
took all 3 kids, and we just went camping, and I was like stressing about it all week, thinking like, man, I'm taking these kids. I'm going by
Third
myself.
degree
Like,
burns.
what are they going to do? Like, how am I going to keep them entertained? Was my biggest concern. And it's like the minute you get outside, it's like rocks and sticks. That's all they needed.
Yeah, dirt, rocks, and sticks. So yeah,
Yeah.
you get this away from them.
Mm-hmm.
The screen away from them, and there's something to be said
Yeah.
for that. And
Yeah.
we were pretty hard nosed about some of that stuff. Screen time is what we called it, and thankful for that.
Yeah.
And we don't negotiate. We don't negotiate with terrorists. to tell our kids.
What? Yeah, we label ours terrorists too. I get it. Okay, let's see here. So, we talked aside from so you got the ranch, you got scuba. Any other hobbies?
Jennifer and I are the world's worst beekeepers. We're amateur beekeepers. That might have been under your list of things that people don't know about me, right? So, a friend of ours, a couple of ours, they have some property up north of here in a little community, a couple acres, and they were like, "Let's do bees together." I'm like, "Yeah, how hard are bees? I mean, they're bees." Jesus, I don't think we've made any honey yet. I think we've killed like 8 hives, on accident, and like if we ever do get honey, it is going to be the most expensive honey. You thought these tariffs were a problem? The cost of my honey would be a problem because it would be insane. I've enjoyed it. You learn a lot about bees are important. Bees are a big deal. So, and then other than that, I'll work. I love working. Yeah. So traveling, family time. Before my mom passed away, and we're kind of trying to get back into it, we'd have family meal every week. Our family, all of us would come together, and we're still trying to figure that out. Trying to get back on target with making purposeful time with that, especially with the kids gone. But like my brothers and sisters all live here. Jennifer's family all lives here, and so we're pretty close knit family.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's so good. So let's talk about some of the stuff about you that would surprise people. Other things we wouldn't know.
I'm a cross-dresser. Don't, just kidding.
Yeah, maybe some
Speaking
funny
of
stories.
where we met, Curtis.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know what would surprise you about me. I mean, lived on a cattle ranch. That would probably surprise some people. I am not a cowboy, but I enjoyed that. I love sunsets a lot, and I go, 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 and go. The older I get, the more I like to be in a quiet place, and it gives me time to think. I like being out. Like I said, I like being outside a lot. I feel a real connection to God outside, and so that's a good space for me, and it grounds me. Have you ever grounded before on a sunset? We talked about this.
No, I just actually heard about grounding, I think, for the first time in like the last month.
Yeah.
This is like you like barefoot outside.
Yeah. You take your shoes and socks off, and I like it right at sunset. You just feel it's really good energy. This is the part of the show that everybody's going to think I'm nuts. So,
No. Well, I'm curious about it because you know Wilson here at Tukio's.
Oh yeah, I know Wilson. He stole my HDMI cable.
Of course he did. He's into that. Like, I mean, he rarely wears. He's in flip flops all the time. But he was talking to me about that the other day. I don't know anything about it, but he just said he's like, yeah, I go do like grounding every morning or whatever, and it's like 2 degrees
that's cool.
outside, snow. But he goes outside barefoot.
Oof.
Well, is it like? Are there health benefits to it, or people? What is the? I've not looked into it at all. Like, what is
Does it look like I really do things about what health is, Curtis? I mean, I don't shed any calories by doing it, if that's what you're asking. But I don't know. I think it's more of a mental thing, actually. You have to believe in that. You have to focus on that, and you have to breathe with that. And I think if you can, remind yourself that you're a pretty small part of this existence here, and we're spinning through space at 1,100 miles an hour and standing still, that humility brings you back into it. And what is your purpose here on earth? And I think at its basic, I think it's important that we're here to serve other people. And if that's your center, then I think that's a pretty good existence, no matter how much time we have here.
Yeah. No, that's cool. Well, I'll give it a try. I tried cold plunging here a few months ago for the first time too. So you hear about these things. Actually, here in St. George, where it's in Utah, it's warmer. And if you're at national parks, you've probably been to Zion before.
Oh man,
of course.
I love Zion.
Yeah, so it's right there.
We did Zion and Bryce's Canyon in one trip. I did a compound dislocation of this pinky in Zion on the Narrows.
Oh no!
And I popped it back in place. I'm okay, and I turned it over, and my bone was still sticking out. I'm like, I'm not okay. Yeah, so I love Zion though. That's beautiful.
What were you doing in the Narrows where you did that?
I was almost in the middle, but I wasn't in the water. You know how you go in the water and you're up and around, and I was following a buddy of mine, and he jumped up and over. He jumped up and over a log. I jumped up on a log to jump over on a log, and then the log flipped so fast. I didn't know fat could move that fast, and I hit the ground, and I thought it was almost like Control-Alt-Delete, reboot. Am I okay? I'm like, yeah, I feel okay, and I popped up, and his finger sticking up here. I'm like, no, I'm not okay. My tooth fell out too. By the way, that was awesome. I think you've seen pictures of me without my front tooth. Yeah, so that was a trip. It was a complete derailment. It was fantastic.
Yeah, I love that hike though. The Narrows, man, it's so beautiful. It's surreal, right? You get in there. I want to do the
top down. So my buddy that I was with, he did there's a top down track that you can do, and it's kind of an overnight thing. But yeah, Angel's Landing, we did all that. We did some great hiking and walking up in there, and then cruising over to Bryce's Canyon for a little bit. And St. George's, great hospital. Good people.
Yeah. That's good to know. Oh man, that's
cold
awesome.
Plunge? There's a lake in St. George. Where did you?
Well, there's this little lagoon. There's this place we go down there. We bought into, and we it's on this little lagoon. And so in the winter it gets pretty cold. Yeah. So first time it was just like December, buddy down there, and he's like, he's the kind of guy you look at and you think you've never worked out in your life because he's just shredded to pieces. But he went and got in there, and I'm like, well, I got to try this. Like 42 degrees, get in 2 minutes up, neck deep.
Yeah.
And then
did your Audi become an innie?
Yeah, man, it's so cold. It just hurts right at first. And I went from there to the pool which was like 88 degrees or whatever, and
that's way warmer.
It hurt, to move from the cold to the hot. And then like last month or 2 months ago, I was in January, I was down there with a bunch of the guys here from Tukio's, and I was like, hey guys, we got a cold plunge. Well, now the water's in the 30s. And so, but we tried. We got in. I think we lasted about 90 seconds and went straight to a hot tub, and that's a worse idea. That's not.
What was the outside temperature? Like, was it cold? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it like St. George in the winter. It fluctuates, but it'll get. It might get down into the 20s, 30s at night. And so when you get out there first thing in the morning,
did you feel after you did it? Not like the act of doing it, but when you were done, did you feel
energized?
Whatever.
Yeah. It's really good. I mean, the only other time I've done anything like that is after a turkey bowl. I had a buddy talk me into he's like, just do an ice bath. Cause you don't move like that. And you get old and you go try to play flag football or whatever. Can't walk for a week. So I tried that, and it did it. Like you recover quicker. So I think that's maybe part of the idea of a cold plunge, just like your whole body, just like
Hey, I've
you
seen
do
you,
feel good for the rest of the day.
right? I mean, you know Tim Hoff up in Minnesota?
Yeah, I
You
know.
know the
I
guy?
can't
Yeah,
picture
great
his
guy.
name. Yeah.
He does a big fundraiser every year for.
Oh yeah,
You've seen that? So
your video where you jumped in the lake.
I did do that. That's the only time I did it, and Chris Seal talked me into it, and so I went up there with those guys and did that once, and it was cold. I mean, they got chainsaws and they're cutting holes in ice, and idiots are jumping in the water, and I was one of them. So I
Yeah,
haven't been back. I haven't revisited it like you. But again, I didn't soak it or try to. I can't imagine sitting there for 90 seconds or however the how long you're in there soaking that into. But
yeah. It's like
that's got to be a mental
painful.
thing, right?
Oh
You gotta
yeah,
like,
I mean, you're battling with yourself. Like, can I do this? Like when they first got in with my buddy, and he's like, "We're going 2 minutes," and I'm like, "How long have we been going now? 10 seconds." I'm like, "I can't do 2 minutes." And then it's like, but then he distracted me, and I tried to tell the same story to the guys here when we got in the water. He's like, "Do you know how cold the water was in the Titanic when they sunk?" I'm like, "I have no idea." And he's like, "It was 29 degrees." So and he's salt water, so it didn't melt and all this. So he's telling me all that, distracting me, and then he's like, "Well, we've gone 1:20," and I'm like, "Oh, okay, I can go 2 minutes at this point."
yeah,
Because
I
you
got this.
but you get in there and you don't move because like there will become this little barrier where your skin's
Yeah.
kind of warming the water up a little bit, and then you move and it's like way cold again. But yeah, I think I could probably get into that if it was more convenient. Like. But I don't know that I would want to go like that cold though. I think like a lot of them will do it like mid 40s or high 40s
Oh,
temperature might be better.
what are your hobbies? Seriously,
Me?
I'm not trying to
I like
derail you.
yeah. No, I like to mountain bike, golf, and boat, like wake surf.
Okay,
So yeah, those are kind of they're all
your wife
summer
too?
hobbies, and I live where there's a lot of snow.
Yeah, you do.
She likes to boat. Doesn't like to golf, but I have got her out a couple times at least on the course to just like ride around, which has been nice. And mountain biking, she'll go mountain biking. I've got her a bike, and I've had folks when they come visit. Well, I'll take them for rides. They'll take her bike, and John Heald wrecked so hard 3 times it broke a pedal in half. I've never seen that happen.
Oh,
Um,
dude, you saw the video of him doing a gainer on a snowmobile that trek we were up there, right?
yeah, I did.
I talked to him yesterday. And I was like, "How you feeling, man?" And he was like, "Well, I went and I was working a funeral with my brother, and I went to pick up the casket, and I heard my wrist pop, and I think I'm still injured from the snowmobile accident." I was like, that guy.
That video was crazy. He broke the ski off of it.
Oh
That
yeah,
was nuts,
destroyed
man.
it. That was,
Totaled it.
we can laugh about it now, but you watched that and you were like, I was in the group behind him, so I didn't see it, but Jimmy Altmaier was there and he was like, all I could see was him dying right there. And I was
Yeah.
like, he got up, "Woo."
Scary.
So
Yeah,
what kind
man.
of boating
Oh my
though?
gosh.
What do you I mean? Do you just like boat or what do you wakeboard? What is
Wake surf. Yeah, wake surf.
Okay. So you got the thing in the boat and the things come down in the back and okay.
Yeah,
That's cool.
creates a big wave. You go slow,
Yeah,
you're
yeah,
going
yeah.
like 11 miles an hour. So it's nice because you can go, a long time, have fun, not get like, ruin your brain when you crash. So it's kind of nice. And just on the lakes locally here, we don't, there's a few just like dams, reservoirs.
Yeah.
So,
Well, how many coworkers are you guys up to there?
well, I think we just about cracked 100 this week.
Wow.
I think it's somewhere in the high 90s.
Yeah.
So most of them here in Ogden. You got probably 15 remote, mostly tech. Like our developers live all over the country, all U.S. based, but live all over the place.
Good for you for that, by the way.
No, thank you. But this is the Zippy Lucas show. So we're gonna.
Hey, this is a conversation, man. So if I'm here and you're here, that makes it our time. You ever watch Fast Times at Ridgemont High?
No, I haven't. I think it's just like I just maybe barely too young for that one.
You call me old and fat?
Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't say that. Oh, yeah.
No, so No, I was going to say to you, work-wise, that we're, here recently finally got all of our stuff transitioned over to your websites, and we're really enjoying them. So thank you for that.
No, we appreciate you for partnering with us. So on the business, so what's some of the hardest stuff you've had to overcome, like had to deal with? Like, just what are there
Oh,
moments where you're like, man, why am I doing this?
yeah. So people, it's always people, right? I'll give you a couple highlights. We had a long time ago, we had a controller that embezzled from us, and that was difficult
Holy
to
cow.
to do. You're working real hard on you're trusting people to do segments of but surround yourself with people that feel your weaknesses, or to do a job that you don't have to do, and you're trusting them in that. And so that's definitely one of those roles. And we learned a lot from that. But we woke up one day and I was like, there were some signs, and then I kept there was always a reason. And then so went to our CPA, who's still our CPA, who's great. He helped us figure out what was going on. And then yeah, it was scary because it was we were much smaller then, but it was we payroll was that day and we couldn't make payroll. And
Oh, wow.
he my CPA, we share the same bank, and my CPA made bankroll for us.
Oh, man.
Yeah,
That's so
and
kind of
he
him.
made payroll. And I tell you, I told him, I said, if you ever need a favor, no questions asked. I mean, like
Yeah.
mafia favor, I'm your guy, no matter what. Forget about it. And so that was a godsend at that moment in time. And so we learned from that. And then
And
we
was the
talked a little
embezzlement
bit
just like,
about
did it just get like a little more
a little bit
like
at a time, a little bit at
aggressive
a time,
to the
and
point where
then
it created that?
to the point where it was just like I think like anybody is the intention was I'm going to pay this back. I'm going to fix this. My life situation, and then it didn't, and then it's like Jenga. At some point it's going to fall over, and it fell over, and that's how it ended. And so we recovered, obviously, and a great life lesson, learning lesson, and how we can get better and do better. And then we, in funeral service, it's all focused. It's always focused on the families that are walking in your door. That's our sacred trust, and you're counting on we're not a single location. I like to say we're a mom and pop shop, but the reality is we have 12 funeral homes and serve over 3,000 families a year. So it's like we need help. We're trusting people to do that, and we we want to be perfect, but we're not perfect, and so our customer satisfaction is at one of the highest in the country for funeral homes. But you don't always knock it out of the park, right? And when you disappoint a family like that, for me, even though we can make it right, it's not. We've never had a catastrophe like moment of like holy shit, that moment. It's like, yeah, this is horrible that this happened. This was the experience, but it's how you handle that, I think, that defines you. I'm an extreme ownership guy, and so you literally hat in hand and try to repair that. And there are those moments where I didn't do it, one of my team members did it, but it is my fault, and I take that. And so there have been those moments throughout the years that you're like, this is why so and so sold this funeral home, because that is not what I'm here to do. That's not why I got into this. And just the pressure, the heaviness of wanting to get it right every single time, and not just get it right every single time. You want to exceed expectations every time. You're walking with his family. You guys want to create raging fans, right? So similar to that. I'm not sure that we'll ever raging fans, but for someone to say that we couldn't have done this without you is a huge deal for us. And
Mm-hmm.
so when you miss the mark on that, those are the moments that keep me up and thinking like, okay, we can get better here, and how do we do that? And so fostering a culture where you're not catching people doing it wrong, you're catching them doing it right, and you're praising that positive feedback. And so that's what we're always working on. That comes naturally to me, is to catching people doing it right, not to catch people doing it wrong. We have our own trainer. I don't know if you know Martha Thayer. She does funeral service training. She's a permanent part of what we do and how we do it per training. Not just location training, but she does individual professional development within our team. So if someone's struggling with something, she's a licensed funeral director, licensed embalmer, been doing it a long time. She oversaw mortuary college, so that's her bag. So she's been a great help to us these past 2 years since we brought her on. It's going on 2 years. So we're putting in things in place to help us mitigate that feeling of, I really just don't want to do this anymore, because I really do want to do this. And I think at the end of the day, I know that we do a great job. And so I want to continue to build what we do and give the tools to my coworkers that they need to become better thems, and feel good about what they do and how they do it, and not scratch their head and like, I don't know, so having that open communication and the ability to say, I don't know. It's okay to say, I don't know. Let's fix that. That's easy. Don't say, I don't know, and I'm going to wing it. That's when we get in trouble.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, it sounds like your culture is awesome. Do you guys have do you do frequent all hands meetings, or what do you do to try to get all that?
So we
instilled?
We've been doing for, I don't know, 3 or 4 or 5 years now. It's called Dead Talks, and it's twice a month. It's an all staff. It's a video call, and we have different segments in that. We have a Caught Doing It Right, and that's a COT. Caught Doing It Right, and it's a peer-to-peer. You have someone from the care team that helped this funeral home, or someone at another funeral home, and so they're sending in pictures of someone up on the roof fixing something, or they rescued me to help dress and casket this case. It wasn't even their case, which it's all our case, but you know what I'm saying. And then customer satisfaction, community outreach. And so it's like a 15 minutes twice a month with everybody on the call, full-time, part-time. And if you can't make it, no problem. It's recorded and you can watch it. And then we do team outings like today, Wednesday.
Yeah.
Tomorrow, Thursday, we're doing an arcade. It's a all-staff arcade.
Cool.
Yeah. So we're doing some arcades, man. So we're going to hit an arcade, eat some hot dogs, drink some beer, and hang out with each other, whoever can make it. And we do that stuff like that. We've done axe throwing. So I'm sitting there thinking, I'm not sure this is a good idea. We got an ice chest full of beer, and I'm like, we're passing out axes.
Yeah.
But things like that, and just we can be real people, and we don't have to put on a front and play funeral director and be that image. It's like you talk to folks about, you get into nose rings, tattoos, all these different things, and I'm all about self-expression, but we have to. Our self-expression is outside of work. It's not work, and so I always say I want you to have your self-expression, but the people that are calling us have an expectation. We have to meet that expectation to the minimum of those whoever that is that we're serving, and we serve everybody. So, so we have to be able to take off our funeral director, suits and dress, and go hang out together like we are and like we want to be. And so I love those moments.
Yeah. No, that's awesome, man. Sounds like a great place to work. I mean, it's just cool.
It's always a work in progress. You know that. I mean, your shop is an awesome place to work as well. And so it doesn't happen on accident. It's purposeful, and you have to work at it, and you have to be meaningful about it.
Yeah. Okay. So we've gone through some of the hard stuff, and you've talked culture. What are some of your just happiest, greatest accomplishments, happiest moments?
Family, kids, right? For sure. No question. But as far as work, man, that positive feedback from family that you helped is everything. That's what keeps you ticking. And then watching my coworkers grow, just not professional development, personal development. I love seeing that and being a part of that. Um, I'd like to. I like, for me, like giving back to our profession. I've been able to do that over the last couple of years, and I don't know that the profession will ever thank me for that. They'll be like, I wish he would have never started helping us with anything. But like getting involved professionally and stuff, the Funeral Service Foundation, CANA, NFDA, TFDA. I love that. It's an opportunity to collaborate and how we can give back to our profession. And again, I don't want to tout anybody's horn more than other, but the Funeral Service Foundation is awesome. It's the philanthropy arm of what we do, and to give scholarships away to our next generation of funeral service, to give them an opportunity where literally it's us investing in ourselves, in our future. And I love being a small, tiny part of that. Those are big things for me that I have gotten a lot of satisfaction out of, outside of just Lucas Funeral Homes, but still in our profession. Um, hmm.
So you were the Texas Funeral Director of the Year. Did that come with like the cover of a magazine, or how did that?
Oh, I'm sure it probably did. I mean, I had a coworker text me at 10 o'clock last night. Did you know it was Funeral Director Appreciation Day? And, it would be really nice and it was a screenshot of another funeral home. And I was I was like, did you know it was funeral home? I mean, I didn't know. I don't get on social media really a whole lot. So it's like, did I get an email in the 300 emails that I get every day? Did I get one that said, I don't know. It would have been nice. I would have loved to have said happy Funeral Director Appreciation Day, but yeah, I don't know.
It's so hard to keep up on those. I mean, every day is 3 or 4 things.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I don't even. Why did I even say that? Did you ask me about that?
Well, I asked you about being the Funeral Director of the Year on the magazine.
Oh, yeah. So I'm sure that was out there somewhere. It was an honor. It really surprised me. Yeah. It was funny. I was thinking, God, they only give that to people that are getting old. And I was like, oh, shit.
It's a great honor because of the state of Texas, the number of funeral homes, the people that are there. I mean, the TFDA, it's like, I haven't been to that convention personally in years. And it's like one that I like miss, right? The one that I used to attend more often. And now everybody fights over who gets to go. And we try to only send a few people to each state show. And there's like a line.
This year will be a good one. It's in Galveston. It's always a big show. It's fun. So send somebody that has a family and let them have some good time. It's good time.
Yeah. No, they're always working that. They're always working that angle.
Oh yeah, they are. Oh yeah.
They find out where it's going to be, and then you can see, something's going on when everybody's like fighting over who gets to go to a show.
I'll be glad to take that on.
Yeah, exactly. I'll take that show. Any like parting words for the industry? You said something about the Funeral Service Foundation. I think is important, which is that you're investing in yourself, or you're investing in our own futures by giving to a group like that funds scholarships and all that. So
I love that. And I'm on the CANA board. I love Barbara Kimmis. She's amazing. If you're not trying to keep track of cremation, then you're kind of behind the 8 ball, no pun intended. I mean, here in our county, we went from 60% cremation in 2023 to 63.5 cremation in 2024, just in our county. So it's a big deal. CANA's all over that. I remember when we first got involved in that, it's like, why is there just an association about cremation? And it's like, they knew what they were talking about. I like that. And then, of course, being on the Sorry advisory board has been fun, and you guys partner with them, which is cool. They're always innovative and doing stuff. So staying busy. And now that we're empty nesters, it's like, how much more stuff can I take on? But I like being involved.
Yeah, you didn't talk about barbecue. Isn't that a hobby of yours?
It is. How many people want to hear that a funeral director is into barbecue? Now, Blue Broussard down in Beaumont, Texas, he owns a barbecue restaurant that's actually pretty spot on. It's great. So Blue and I talk about barbecue a lot. I do like barbecue. I am the promoter of a state championship barbecue cook-off here in the great state of Texas. I've been doing that a
Nice.
long time. I did some competition barbecuing. Now I just do it for charity and for um, family stuff. I've got two smokers, both trailer smokers.
So you got
One,
big ones you got to pull, right?
oh
Yeah.
yeah, 20 briskets to put
Poof.
on one of them. Yeah,
Wow.
her name is Doris.
Doris. Have you ever done?
Doris.
Do you? Well, maybe you've done it. You could probably fit a pig on there then too, right?
Oh, you can put a pig on there. Yeah, you can put a
Yeah.
couple of pigs on there. Yeah,
Wow.
we do a lot of hog hunting down here. It's my little friend from a hog. So Matt, my operations guy, you met Matt. He's
Uh-huh.
gotten into guns, and he's like an amateur gunsmith now. So anytime I run into a problem, I just bring my firearm up to him, and he like tinkers around with it. And I always ask him, "Have you shot it yet?" Because I don't want to blow up.
Yeah.
So yeah, I am a barbecuer. I love brisket, ribs, and pork. It's kind of my jam for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
I should
awesome,
bring
man.
you a brisket. I should bring you a brisket next
You
time I'm
should.
out.
You
I
should
like
just
that.
yeah, just pack it on the plane.
I've done that. I smoked
Have you?
81 pounds of brisket and took it on an airplane to my son Nathan. I flew up to his college had a big party weekend, and so his fraternity. I'm like, hey, I'll smoke some briskets and bring them up. So I served 81 pounds of brisket to his
How
group
did
of
you? How did you
fellows.
travel with it? How did you pack it?
So I did not go. Have you ever heard of JSX?
No.
So it's a smaller airline that it's like they do these regional jets, and
Okay.
it was a little posh, like a little
Okay.
fancy.
Yeah. Okay.
But
You're
but
working
you
your way
can
into telling me you're flying
no
private
no no.
here.
But
Yeah.
it's like you're carrying.
Yeah.
I'm wearing this hat, and I've got like
Yeah.
a ripped up shirt on, and I've got 81 pounds of briskets. It's like, is this guy a drug runner? It's kind
Yeah.
of the vibe I had. And then but you can take anything you want. It's
Oh,
like if it
cool.
goes on. So I'm like, I just didn't want any questions asked, and
Yeah.
so I flew JSX up to Colorado, and we did briskets, and it was awesome. It was fun to see a bunch of highly intelligent drunk college kids eat your smoked brisket. They're like, this is the best thing I've ever had.
That's awesome.
No, I guess the parting words, Curtis, is get involved. Always be learning. Don't ever be fearful to ask for help or ask the question why. Right? Never stop growing. I have not figured it all out yet, so I doubt you have either.
Of course not, man. Well, you've done an amazing job, and I know like so many people look up to you in the industry, and I think you've got an ability to create friendships that not everybody has. And I
Thank you.
just collectively at Tukios, we obviously talk to a lot of funeral homes and funeral directors, and I do too. And we just, I feel like you're a name people like to connect with and drop and say,
Thank you
Jimmy
for
Lucas,
that.
like you're just very well respected in the industry. And I appreciate our friendship. And for the last 15 years and being able to work together and learn from you and run ideas past you and everything else that I've been able to do. So thank you.
No, thank you, man. I appreciate it. I'm going to be praying for you and your wife. Good luck with in 12 days or whenever
Yeah,
whenever you have a new funk in this world.
it's going to be fun. It's going to be exciting. So I'm just
It's gonna be
enjoying the
fun.
sleep for the last,
Yeah, you better.
yeah. So it's going to be a few months of no more sleeping. So anyway, well, thanks again, Jimmy, and
Hey,
those
man.
that are listening. Well, you got anything else you want to? You were going to say
I was
something
going to
else
say
there?
thank
Okay.
you. No, I'm just going to say thank you, Curtis.
Oh,
I appreciate you.
no, thank you. So, thanks those that are listening. This podcast again, we're just telling the stories of the legends in the space, and you can subscribe and listen to us anywhere you listen to podcasts. So, thank you.
Adios, man.